It's finally that time of year. It's the off season, and that means there's going to be a lot going on in Cincinnati, and that includes free agents. And like I've talked about in the plenty of videos, Cincinnati needs to be aggressive, especially on the defensive side in free agency. And the new report came out talking about 4 guys that we should be watching on this weekend, playing this weekend in the divisional round. 2 of them have already played. 2 we will be seeing tomorrow. I'm going to go over that report here today, so let's jump right into it. This report is coming from John Sheeran. 4 impending free agents the Bengals should focus on watching during the NFL divisional round playoff games. There's 4 guys. I'm going to be going from least wanting to most wanting, if that makes sense. So the first guy is like, I would rather don't feel the need to go get him. We should go get him, if that makes sense. Let's jump right into it. First guy, this is the best vote I could get of him. Joshua Ysui. He's a Chiefs defensive edge, and in this latest game he played today against the Texans, didn't really do much. This season, 2024, he was about $3 million, so we would be looking to spend around $3 million to get him this season if he came to Cincinnati. Now, let's read what Sheeran said. When the Chiefs needed pass rushing help at the trade deadline a few months ago, they acquired Ysui, a former second-round NFL pick from the struggling New England Patriots. He hasn't provided much of help he was expected to bring, as he's recorded just 1 pressure and 40 pass rushing snaps per Pro Football Focus. But his flashes from New England made him a desirable option for them in the first place. He may not fit in Kansas City, but when Cincy's defense will look for help on the other side of the formation from Trey Hendrickson, Ysui could be a possible piece of the puzzle. So in 2024, his final stats of the season were 10 total tackles, 7 solo tackles, 0 sacks, 0 forced fumbles. But back in 2022, his best season of his career was with the Patriots, where he had 27 total tackles, 23 solo tackles, 11.5 sacks with 2 forced fumbles. Obviously, that would be going out on a limb, hoping that we could get him back to that form. Because if he could go to that form back in 2022, do that for the Bengals this coming season, that would be huge. Adding 11 sacks to what Cincinnati's defense did this season would be absolutely huge. But even on the opposite side of Chris Jones, he still had 0 sacks this season. He was acquired by the Chiefs later in the season. Probably didn't fit as well as to the scheme as they were hoping to, so maybe. But I think the main problem with Ysui is the fact that he's $3 million. I don't think I would be really willing to spend more than $3 million on a guy hoping that he would be back in shape than he was 3 years ago. And if he did it 3 years ago and hasn't done it since, most likely it's not going to happen again. But if for whatever reason he was to get in contact with Cincinnati and we were to bring that price a little bit down, I would be completely fine with that. So we already got to watch him. Another guy we already got to watch who is 3rd on my list. So this was number 4. Ysui was number 4. Levi Onwuzurike. I probably messed that up. But Levi, he was drafted in 2021. He is a defensive tackle. So basically we would be, the joke is we'd be flipping, and he talks about this. I'll just read his report. Detroit signed Cincinnati's nose tackle DJ Ritter, the joke I was about to make last offseason, so it's only right Cincinnati takes a look at the guy playing next to Reader now. Onwuzurike was a second-round pick back in 2021 and will be eligible for free agency for the first time this offseason. 2024 was the best of his 3 career seasons, as his 2022 campaign was wiped out due to a back injury. He stayed healthy for most of the year and finished the regular season on a hot streak with 15 pressures and 3 quarterback hits from week 16 to 18. And in 2024, his best season, as the report says, 28 total tackles, 16 solo tackles, 1.5 sacks with 1 forced fumble. 2024, he was a little bit over $2 million, as you can see. So you would assume after his best career season, he would be probably about $2.5 million this offseason. That's why he's 3rd on my list now, is because his production hasn't been insanely amazing and hasn't been elite. He's been averaging what the rest of the Bengals defense of tackles have been doing. We would be probably if we release Sheldon Rankins, maybe go get Levi Onwuzurike to get some depth in the defensive tackle room. I don't completely disagree with that, but I don't think this is a guy we should have top of our board on the free agents. But he's an option, not the greatest option. I think there's more guys we should be going after, and I think the two guys next on this list are guys we should be focusing on more than Onwuzurike. But he's a young guy, has a lot of talent, has a lot of potential. Haven't seen that potential played out on the field, but he is going to be an interesting name to look forward to or look into going forward. Next guy stays in AFC North, Ben Cleveland. He is a offensive lineman for the Ravens. This season, he was about almost $1.2 million. So you'd assume it would be around that for the Cincinnati Bengals next season. But let me read Mr. Sheeran's report. You may have to pay close attention in order to catch Cleveland on the field against Buffalo. Baltimore occasionally uses him when as an extra offensive lineman in their heavy packages. He's also logged some starts at both left and right guard in both the Greg Roman and Todd Monken offenses over the past 4 years since being drafted in the third round. He's not a promising answer to replace either Cordell Volson or Alex Kappa, but he'd be quality depth at the position and bring value as an eligible blocker in short yardage situations. It wouldn't be the splashes of signings, but quality depth is quality depth. I think there is obviously a big need for the Bengals on the offensive guard position. I think Ben Cleveland, like this report says, could be a good depth player. But I disagree. I do agree with the short yardage, bringing him on heavy packages. When we need about 2 yards, 3 yards on a third down, bring in Cleveland, use a heavy set, use a lot of offensive linemen, hand it up down the middle, and allow your big guys to push forward. This season, 2024, the PFF overall grade for Cleveland was 61.7, so that's about average for offensive guards. His passing grade was 45.6. That's way below average. So don't bring him in for passing plays, but bringing him for short yardage when you're going to be stacking the box to get short yardage. Because in run snaps, he had a grade of 63.1, which was a little bit above average for offensive guards. And in this season, he had 48 snaps played for the guard position, 0 penalties, which is a good thing for offensive linemen. Don't want false starts, all that good stuff, holdings, all that good stuff. 0 sacks allowed. So that's a small margin. He only played in 49 snaps, almost 50 snaps. But still, having 0 penalties in 49 snaps and 0 sacks allowed in 49 snaps, considering Alex Kappa and Volson both allowed like 9 sacks this season, and Kappa was literally the worst offensive guard in the NFL this season. Adding quality depth in the offensive guard position would be a huge help to Cincinnati. And having a guy like Ben Cleveland and Cody Ford as your depth is actually really, really beneficial. We saw how Cody Ford could move around and play different positions. We saw him play defensive. We saw him play offensive guard. We saw him play offensive tackle. And even he was playing tackle against TJ Watt, one of the best edge rushers in the league, and he was handling him pretty well. If you add Ben Cleveland to that depth on the offensive line, especially in short yardage running plays, I think that's great for Cincinnati. It's been a big struggle for them offensive line. I think Ben Cleveland could be a huge pickup which is actually pretty cheap for the offensive guard position. So I think Ben Cleveland is definitely a name we should be looking out for. Then finally, this is the guy we should be watching for. I think this guy is going to be could be potentially a stud in Cincinnati. Eagles defensive tackle Milton Williams. This is the guy I think we should heavily go after this weekend. Not so like teams playing this weekend, free agents that are going to be playing this weekend. This is the guy we should be going after. This season he was about $1.2 million. He was also drafted in 2021. And this report, as I'm going to read, showing that he's actually, because of the season he's had this year, he's probably going to need a little bit more than that. Williams, a third-round pick from 2021, chose a phenomenal time to look his absolute best right before he's set to cash in. He's generated over Okay, he's generated more pressures, 44, this season than the previous two combined. So in this season, he has 44 pressures. Combined, his last two previous seasons didn't even reach 44, while playing a more aggressive role with Philly's stacked defensive line, which it is. He's a pure pass rushing 3 technique, which the Bengals will not have on the roster once Sheldon Rankins, as I talked about earlier, is released. And Rankins didn't fit that role when he did play this year. There's a decent chance Williams will be out of Cincinnati's price range because of the season he's had. He's going to move up in price range, but he fits everything they'd look for in a big fish to catch on the open market. I think we should spend the money. I'm looking at other defensive tackles and edges and just defensive linemen in the league. He's probably going to be about $3 million. I'm willing to pay that. His best season, like this says, has been in 2024. 24 total tackles, 11 total solo tackles, 5 sacks. All of the Bengals defensive tackles combined this season only had 9. So Milton Williams had more than half of the sacks. All of the Bengals defensive tackles combined had 9. Williams had 4 less than all of our defensive tackles combined. Let me say that one more time. Williams, the Eagles defensive tackle, who is going to be available in free agency, only had 4 less sacks than all of our defensive tackles combined. 1 forced fumble and 1 fumble recovery. This is the guy we need to go after. Of the 4 guys that I have talked about today on this video that have played or going to play this weekend, Milton Williams is the guy we need to go after. He's not going to be an elite defensive tackle, but he could be. He has the potential to be. He's still a young guy. This is his 4th season in the league. He's still young. If you develop him correctly, especially depending on the defensive coordinator we bring in, if we bring in Al Golden, he develops young talent amazingly. I think Al Golden with Williams spending $3 million to go get a defensive tackle who basically put up the same amount of sacks as the rest of the Bengals' entire defensive tackle room. Yeah, I'm spending $3 million to go get that guy. He's young. He's great. He's going to be a good player, and he could be one of the best defensive tackles Cincinnati has in that room as soon as he comes into the building, without a doubt in my mind. Sheldon Rankins most likely is gone. Go get this guy. Spend $3 million on a young guy who has shown he can do what it takes, especially when your defensive tackle room is struggling. The Bengals defense, running defense especially this season, has been mediocre at best. Adding Williams to that room already improves it significantly. And he's pressuring the quarterback this season, 44 pressures, 5 sacks. Once again, it's crazy. He almost did exactly what the entire Bengals defensive tackle room did in one season. But, yes, out of all 4 of the guys that I've talked about this episode, Milton Williams, I want to see in the black and orange stripes this coming up season. But thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the Bengals Digest channel. A lot of you guys are starting to watch the videos. The videos are getting more and more views and more likes, and I can't thank you guys enough. I appreciate it so much. And please comment if you want to talk about anything that I talk about, or some people have corrected me, like I pronounced Lou Anarumo's name wrong. There you go, commenter. Comment. Just I want to get to know you guys. But thank you guys for all the support. Thank you for blowing up the videos, however it's blown up. But don't forget to subscribe to the Bengals Digest channel so you can get all your Bengals updates, trades, rumors, speculations, everything going on in Cincinnati will be talked about here on the channel. Don't forget to like this video. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Carson Lokey. I'll see you next time.